Well, welcome to London Business School campus. My name is Enzo. I'm a current student here, and I'm one of the co-presidents of the Entrepreneurship Club at LBS. This is, I think, the first Startup Grind event that is being held on our campus, so welcome. I want to do a very small introduction of the Entrepreneurship Club here at LBS, and then I will hand it over to Marianne to lead the rest of the event. So here at LBS, we have over 1,000 students, all master students, and the Entrepreneurship Club focuses on kind of helping our students become entrepreneurs or gain an entrepreneurial skill set. We organize many events, such as these kind of speaker events, but also we have our own pre-seed accelerator that we run, which is actually starting in a couple of weeks' time. We also run a hackathon. And obviously, many of LBS graduates eventually work at startups or start their own companies here in London and in the rest of the world. So if you're interested in getting involved with the Entrepreneurship Club, or if you're interested in kind of reaching out to students here at our school, feel free to contact us or grab us right after the event. Cool. Without further ado, I'll give it over to Marianne and kick off the event. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. A quick show of hands, how many of you have not heard about Startup Grind before? And who is here for the first time at a Startup Grind event? Oh, nice. Okay, welcome. A few words about Startup Grind. What we do is very simple. We started 8 years ago with a simple objective to help every entrepreneur on the planet. Today we are the world's largest organization for entrepreneurs, and we are based in 125 countries and in about 500 cities all around the world. And we do these events every single month in every single city. So if you happen to travel and you want to learn about entrepreneurship and meet some investors, founders, business leaders, you can feel free to come to one of our events. We do this monthly, every single month in London as well, and we do also 2 flagship conferences. One is next month in Silicon Valley. We're going to have about 8,000 founders coming together, and founders of companies like LinkedIn and so on. And we do one in London, always in June. So today, we will be talking about an entrepreneurship story of a company which did not start with the same mission as it is now. It changed over time, and they pivoted into success. The founders of the company are super interesting, and they're coming from a corporate world. And we have some corporates here. We have some people from Google and some other companies as well. Welcome, guys. Let's discuss the entrepreneurship story of the company and what lessons they've learned along the way, and what is their plan for the future. So without any further ado, please join me in welcoming Chu Chao, co-founder and CMO, and Saurabh Chopra, the CEO and co-founder of the company. Gentlemen, welcome. We are happy to have you. And this is especially interesting for us and exciting for us because Saurabh is an alumni of LBS.
Yes.
So you at home. Cool. Let's jump right in. You both have worked for big corporates, and you decided to change. Why?
Why? Okay, hear me. Okay. Hey, hello. Okay. Hi. So yes, I used to work at Amazon, Microsoft, Yahoo. We both met at Yahoo. This is 2002 to 2004, 2006. It's a while ago. So the question is, why did we switch from? Well, listen, there's nothing wrong with working for a big corporation. You know, what I've learned is that there's so much really like the structure, the infrastructure, the programs they have in terms of training you. They have the resources, so take advantage of that in a big corporation. That's what I did, and you meet really good people. You know, Saurabh, for example, and you take them with you to do new things. So networking, using the infrastructure, the label, the brand on the CV helps as well. So let's not kid ourselves. So these are the good things that I think
helps.
Yeah, I think so. From my perspective, after LBS, which was I completed my MBA in 2004, as you can probably tell from my gray hairs, and I was quite lucky. I managed to join Yahoo, which was actually in my top. When you do your ranking of top 10 companies you want to work for, I don't know if you guys do that at LBS or the guys who are at LBS. Yahoo is actually number one on my list. Back it was the glory days of Yahoo, and so at Yahoo, I was fortunate that I was actually interacting with lots and lots of amazing entrepreneurs and amazing startup companies, and just that the energy I got from those guys, the creativity, the passion, the way they felt about things was just to a whole new level, and it was just something that they wanted to create, the impact they wanted to create, that just got to me. And Yahoo was also a very, very good, great environment with a lot of buzz and energy. However, what I saw outside was just really energized me so much that I couldn't wait to take the plunge. So after a couple of years at Yahoo, I actually joined the startup world, not as a founder, but I joined a couple of companies which were, kind of Silicon Valley tech startups based in London. And I felt I made the right decision. And I think the world of corporates, I know we've got some corporates here, the world of corporates have changed a lot in the last 14 or 15 years, because back in the days the world was very, very different. Now organizations understand how to nurture and create entrepreneurial environments inside their corporate environment. So things have changed a lot. Back then it was very different. So it was the energy and buzz that just got me, and I couldn't resist the temptation.
Okay. It's interesting to know that, for example, I used to work for Orange at the time, and we met with Saurabh with Orange as a client relationship.
You didn't pay us anything, though.
And no, not then. And then I left as well, and I was living for a while in Los Angeles, and Saurabh came to visit with a few friends, and Saurabh started to ask us about some questions about potentially wanting to start a company, and you kind of bouncing ideas off of us. And I didn't think much of it, but then soon after, the company.
Okay, the microphone doesn't work.
Can you hear me? Okay. So soon after, the company was born, and the company started as Huddleby. Sorry?
Yeah, it's still not loud.
It's not loud now.
Louder. I need to start It's going now. Yeah.
Okay, so the company started as Huddleby. Can you tell us what was the objective of Huddleby, and how did it change into Perkbox?
Yeah, absolutely. So, when Chu and I obviously met at Yahoo, and we were really good friends, and we were going on. And we both had that same desire to create something really entrepreneurial. So, I had worked in a couple of startups that had exited, and Chu, after working for Amazon, Yahoo, and then Microsoft, he was consulting with small businesses. And one of the big opportunities we found was that the tools that there was lots of technologies and products in the B2C world helping consumers get great products and platforms on the internet, but we felt that the world of startups and small businesses was quite neglected. There was not really any platform that could actually help small businesses grow and succeed. So that was where where kind of sowed the seeds of Huddleby, because having worked at startups, having consulted small businesses, we felt that there was a desperate need for something that could help small businesses grow and succeed. Obviously, small businesses help contribute more than 60% of GDP in any country. So we felt it was a very, very neglected market, and that's how the concept of Huddleby started, which is a group buying platform for SMEs. Helping them with their purchases and things like that. Obviously, bear in mind, this is the glory days of Groupon. So funding raising was actually quite easy and very quick. And obviously,
Let's jump in there. Did you raise funding for the Groupon idea?
Yes.
Or later?
Yeah, we raised capital for the Groupon idea. Again, look, I mean, when the market is hot and you have an idea, you try to figure out what's the best way you can actually raise that capital, so you can, at the right terms, the best terms possible, with the right people, and you get on and just do it, right? So that's how we raise the
for
capital.
the startups in the audience, how did you go about valuation of the company, and which investors did you approach for the investment?
So that was 2011, wasn't it? So just
Yes.
to let everyone else.
Yeah.
In terms of valuation, you want
Yeah. So that was 2011. So that's the seed round, right? So obviously, I was also fortunate here to learn about. I did the course called Financing the Entrepreneurial Business, which talks in great detail about raising money at different stages, but not at the early stage, because early stage is just like this, right?
Yeah.
And so the seed round, basically, we were actually quite fortunate, thanks to our, working at Yahoo and the network we had, we were able to reach some very well-known UK seed investors pretty quickly, like the founders of Zoopla, board member at LinkedIn, founders of investors in Betfair. So we were quite lucky we had that network. And in terms of valuation, once we found the right lead to lead our deal, it was just a matter of the level of dilution that you're willing to take,
Yeah.
and the level of dilution you're willing to take ties into the capital. So if you want to raise, I mean, obviously the seed round valuations have changed a lot now. So it could be anywhere from 3 to 5 million seed round tech, and you just look at how much you want to raise, what is the level of dilution you can get, and if you can convince someone to back you on that valuation, which
How
again tied to your network and background.
Yeah.
So it's not scientific at all, as most of you guys know. I'm sorry if I'm repeating something that you guys know already.
It's a mix
In
of
seed round.
Well, listen, it's the logos on the CV, really. I think they don't know us personally, but they trust that we have experience from big companies. We have the discipline, the insights, and the network to really get
So
this
how many
done.
meetings did you have till you selected the investors, or they selected you? How did it work?
Yeah, I would say that, I don't know, it was, probably about, so here's how it works in the seed round, right? I mean, apologies for people who know this already, but in case someone's looking to raise a seed round, what you really gotta do is find a lead, and a credible lead. So you gotta, so we were lucky, the founder of Zoopla, Alex Chesterman, he was also founder of Love Film, he obviously was still CEO till a couple of months back, actually decided he loved our idea, he became the lead. So once he came in, it was actually, quite reasonably efficient to get the other leads in, get the other investors, marquee investors in. And to get him on board, I think probably we did about 10 meetings, but after we got him on board, then we had to get other meetings to get the other guys on board. But because he was in, it made life a lot easier. So probably, I don't know, maybe 25-ish meetings. We had lots of seed investors, but to get the lead in was about 10 meetings, but some people can take a lot longer.
Okay, so here's the money, the seed round, and it was for the idea of Groupon for business.
Yes.
And then it took you about one year to figure out this is not going to work out. How did you come to the conclusion that this business model is not working and you have to find something else?
Yeah, I mean, it actually took us very soon. I mean, it didn't take us very long, actually. So we launched January 2011, Groupon for Business. The good thing about Groupon, that model, is that it was really efficient in collecting email addresses, but nothing else, really. We couldn't sell. There's no margins to be had on the products that we sold. So we really quickly found out that there was no margin. So it's essentially, you can't pay for the services that you offer. And so we had to pivot from there to a lead gen model. So with all those emails that we collected, I think a couple hundred, quite a few. I mean, we were really efficient in collecting emails, and and we sold that. So that became our next pivot. We went to bigger brands like Sage, Pitney Bowes, Zipcar. So look, we became sort of the gatekeeper of SMEs. That's how we position ourselves, and we would run campaigns for them. Whereas it's like get a free, membership at Zipcar and sign up. Zipcar for Business, for example, and that became our next model because with that we could sell
Like a lead
on a
generation.
per lead basis.
Yeah.
It paid the bills, but really wasn't permanent.
Okay, and then you have the lead generation model, and then did the money started to come in a bigger mass, big volume than before, or it was still not working?
Yeah, so as part of the lead generation, we're actually quite fortunate that one of the things that we cracked, which back in the days no one had actually cracked, was how to use social media for B2B. So we were actually one of the first advertisers on Facebook.
All right.
In the B2B world. We started doing it about 6 years ago when, almost 7 years ago, when it was a lot cheaper than it is right now. Because obviously traditional advertisers using, for B2B services, using Google PPC, which is obviously very targeted and a way to get customers, but it's not necessarily the cheapest method. And when you're trying to acquire customers and you have very little or no money, you try to figure out the cheapest method to acquire customers. So we were very fortunate that we cracked Facebook, and at that point in time, and that obviously started generating a decent amount of revenue. It became better and bigger, and it helped us cross £1 million in revenue, which is actually really good in startup land when
That's pretty cool, yeah.
when you have raised only £350,000. So we were then like, what do we do? We're not an agency. We didn't quit our jobs to become a lead generation business, and we really wanted to build something that's global and huge in the software business recurring revenue. Because I remember one of our investors said to us, raising money, that hey, how about you think about a recurring revenue model, because it just helps you sleep well at night. And that sleep well at night was kind of hitting us. You were not really sleeping that well at night. And so we're like, okay, how do we take this money and margin we've generated and create a recurring revenue business? And then we kind of created another pivot, which was more like a member loyalty, customer loyalty piece. Again, focused on SMEs. That was our core competence. We had cracked that engine of acquisition using Facebook. And so we said, how do we create this engine which creates recurring revenue? And so we had another pivot, which was member loyalty, customer loyalty, focused on SMEs. But then Facebook acquisition costs went up like 5x in 4 months. And everybody started piling into Facebook for B2B acquisition. We're like, oh, this is not going to work. So, and then
So that was called How to Buy Gold. So we decided to create a subscription model, and we had to make it closed group. So we basically said you have to pay to access these discounts. The interesting thing about that is that when you close it up, you get better deals. So Apple, for example, was one of our sort of flagship deals, was actually really, really good. And we thought we could sell it. We were saying, £150 for the privilege of accessing How to Buy Gold with all these great discounts. So we applied the same kind of tactics that sort of we were using on Facebook. Could not make it happen. It was just too expensive to acquire for the users. What we realized quite early on is that the same buyers that were using us for that Groupon model wouldn't pay. So they're bargain hunters already. So that's the demographic that we're going after. So really understand who you're going after. Like, we had a huge database of entrepreneurs, quote unquote, or business owners, but they were bargain hunters. In a way, SMEs, in the micro SMEs, they operate like consumers. And that's what we learned the hard way.
Okay.
So we had to pivot off of that.
Okay. So for you, the audience, if you want to have any questions answered, you can do that. It's super simple. All you have to do is just pull out your mobile phone and open your browser.
No Wi-Fi.
And there is no Wi-Fi. There should be like I have my connection. Those who can use that, you can basically simply type in slido.com, and the hashtag is SGEurope, as you can see. And you can just ask away. And I promise the top 5 to top 10 questions will be answered, and you will decide which ones, because you can vote for questions you like. This is super simple. Now, you then have the idea of having a recurrent business model. Why did you decide to rebrand the business?
Yeah, actually, so the way the rebranding came around, so we were doing this kind of member loyalty, customer loyalty, How to Buy Gold, membership, recurring revenue business, which sometimes we were white labeling. And what happened is that we were still serving SMEs. And what we found is that a lot of the perks that we were giving to them started becoming consumer perks. And they said, hey, we really like this. Can we have it for our employees? And so we basically, we said, hey, this is really interesting. This is crazy. A lot of people are asking this for their employees. And then we kind of dug deeper and asked them, hey, what's your real challenge? And they said, look, my biggest challenge is not saving money on office supplies or getting a better deal on a Zipcar. My biggest challenge is retaining my staff, because I'm not a big company. If I'm a hospitality, if I'm a restaurant, I have up to 70% staff turnover. I want to keep my talent, and I don't have a huge amount of money to retain them. They can leave me any day and go for a bigger player. Yeah. So that was kind of key learning. So we started giving these perks, and so it was originally, we had a different name. We just called it Huddle by Perks, which was not easily rolling off the tongue. We were like, oh, what do you offer? We sell Huddle by Perks. I go, what is that? And why do I have to buy something? What is this Huddle by thing? So what happens is, as we were launching this, we were sending out a little box full of goodies to help companies launch, and we started calling it Perk Box. So people started calling and saying, hey, when is my Perk Box coming? When is my Perk Box coming? So we're like, okay, well, this is actually sounds a lot better than Huddle by Perks. So why don't we just call the whole thing Perk Box? And we spent out with that brand, rebranded the business, and launch it. So as you can see, most of this, pretty much everything came from listening to our customers and not necessarily our investors. So we just learned from our customers and kind of iterated, and got it.
Quick show of hands, who has not heard about Perkbox before today? Raise your hand. Okay, so it's a pretty strong brand. I was surprised because in the preparation for this meeting, we had a few talks with some people, and I was surprised by how many people know the company. The brand is pretty has good awareness. So you have this business now developed. What we didn't talk about is your competition. So who is your competition, and what have you learned from them?
Yeah, I think so. Our biggest competition in the markets we serve is actually inertia. So, the way we tackle the market is that we have what we call the SME segment, which is about 10 to 250 employees, and then we have the mid-market segment, which is about 250 to up to 2,000. Obviously, we have lots of corporate customers as well, which come to us. But in terms of our focus and the markets where we really own, it is that segment. And obviously, at the enterprise level, corporate level, we do have competition. There's some legacy providers who've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And there are companies like Reward Gateway in the UK. Some of the markets we're launching, like France, is different. It's a company called Edenred. And however, they play in the enterprise world. Our biggest competition is inertia. So a buyer, an MD or director may decide, hey, I'm going to spend money on free lunch every day, or I'm going to spend money on free beer every Friday for my team, and therefore I won't spend on a platform like ours. So I think that's so obviously we're doing it's all about educating the market. We're doing a great job. I think our teams are doing a great job in educating the market. But I think the way we see it in the business is about that inertia. So we want to make giving a great employee experience a utility, right? Just like every business has insurance, every business has phones. They should have an employee experience platform because that's their most important asset for a business.
Yes. So what have you learned from your competition?
Well, just on top of that, I think from a positioning marketing perspective, one of the challenges, and this off of what Saurabh was saying, I think it's a psychographic segmentation here. So we're looking at people who actually care about the staff and willing to believe that perks and benefits are actually valuable to your business. Those who don't, those who have the traditional view of management that we can just pay them, that's good enough, that's actually a big hurdle because that's a cultural change. So I think over time, we'll win them over. But really, if you look at the population, I'm sure you've probably met friends and family who's worked in really crap places, right? That's our challenge.
I think in terms of what we've learned from the competition, obviously, if you look at inertia as a competition, it's about building that case of ROI, kind of proving the point and all that is critical. But if you look at the competition that plays in the enterprise end, they have, obviously, we've learned from them on the best way of educating the market because they've been around for a lot longer. So they have honed their marketing message and the model. So we learned a lot from the competition that was playing at the top end of the spectrum on what are how do you educate the market and stuff like that. When we early days, so obviously when you're early days, you want to learn as much as possible from all the leaders and apply the same concepts in the smaller, lower end segments, which we did the SME and the mid-market while they were playing the corporate set. So a lot of the content and stuff, educational material, we learned from them. The benefit we had because was that as a business, we're so nimble and so fast-paced that they didn't really evolve their content positioning over the last 10, 12 years while we kind of evolved it very, very rapidly along as we evolved the platform. So keeping the messaging tied to the product and the end-to-end positioning and the vision is very, very important. So we learned, but then we optimized and hopefully.
Just on that, we have a key. One of the key differentiator I think you have to really understand is that from a branding perspective, we're B2B, but we're also B2C. So the fact that you guys know about Perkbox is amazing because most of our competitors, they white label it. They, even if you want to know, a lot of these corporations, they don't know who the provider is, and they're missing a trick there. So from the very beginning, we valued the brand, even though it's a B2B space and a B2C space, and that really took us to another level. And we made sure that the employees know who's giving you those perks. Your employers, yes, but also from Perkbox.
Okay.
That's really powerful.
Let's take a step back. now and discuss your founding relationship. So you are two co-founders, and none of you is technical, right? So how did you decide who is going to do what at the company, and how did you split your responsibilities?
Actually, I am technical. I do have an engineering degree.
Okay.
But I lost coded.
But you know the CTO, right?
Sorry.
You know the CTO.
No, not CTO.
There you go.
But I lost coded before the MBA. I had the engineering degree, but I lost developed software in 2000. So that was about 11 years before we set up the business. So yes, we were actually. Well, I think in terms of demarcation between us, it was pretty clear because obviously, Chu's expertise. Chu was actually about to leave and go back to the U.S. And I said, hey, look, if you have to do this, you need someone marketing. So we said, hey, let's do something because Chu's expertise was digital marketing across all these amazing companies. And so it was pretty clear between us. Like my background expertise was more kind of sales, business development, and frankly, the original product concept was not rocket science for us. And we're talking about a very kind of basic product. So we felt that we could launch it, get it up and running. To begin with and get the right people on board. I think in retrospect, it would have been really good to have a technical co-founder. Our co-founder is a part of the early founding team because we did have a few challenges in the early days, in terms of when we launched.
Did you hire
the platform.
contractors? How do you go about it? There's a question here on Slido from that.
Oh, right. Okay, yes. So we actually we found a person who was it was almost near sourcing. So our goal was let's put a little bit of money, get the site up and running while we're raising money. Because when you're raising money, you want to show momentum at every phase.
Yeah.
So you meet the investor, say, hey, this is what we're about to launch. Oh, well, the site will be ready in 2 weeks. Now, if your site takes 2 months instead of 2 weeks, you're losing points.
Sure.
Which will hurt your valuation. So you want to keep showing momentum, and you want to keep positive updates. So we're like, okay, we'll meet these guys, and we have to get the site running and show the site is live. Then we want to do transactions on the site. So we said we'll have some version of the site up and running. We found someone kind of near sourcing, which we actually found, on Odesk, but we were like, okay, we got to find someone who's close by. So it was, it was someone who helped us build the site. However, he actually used, he basically took a Chinese e-commerce platform and white labeled it to our platform.
Okay.
And we launched it. There was no problem. We raised the money. Then it started. Sometime it was.
Error messages were in Chinese.
Yeah.
And I thought we got hacked. I'm like, holy shit, what's going on here?
I was like, Chu, do you understand some of this? No, he didn't. So that was a problem. So we launched, in Jan. We closed around in March, and then you have these error. And we have transactions and customers, right? We had thousands of emails. We collected very cleverly. They're transacting, and then we were like, oh my God, what is this? Why am I getting this error message? Unfortunately, our customers didn't see it or tweet about it, and so then we were like, oh God, we have to rebuild this platform. And then we had a problem hiring the next developer we hired. Oh my God, it was.
To
it was-
outsource
it was
development,
pretty-
you didn't want to hire a CTO at that point?
Look, I think what again, for our thinking was that so we should have probably looked at in the founding team getting a very strong technical
CTO.
person, whether you call it a CTO or basically an amazing shit hot engineer / product person, or just a shit hot engineer who knows great things about a platform, is passionate about creating something new. It doesn't necessarily need to be a CTO. Can be a part of the founding team who you go and proactively recruit. We didn't do that.
So after the Odesk adventure, you still wanted to find a contractor to do the platform?
No, we hired someone full time actually with the money we raised. So this Odesk contractor was only for before we raised the money. So when we got the money, we made him permanent, and then we hired another engineer, which was a huge a challenge because that other engineer was just didn't work out at all.
Okay.
And then we had a third engineer. We were using our investors, their help sometimes recruiting because we had some very lucky to have great investors. The third engineer basically worked out really well for us, and he basically rebuilt the platform and launched it in September. So we launched this platform in Jan. Error messages in Chinese spinning up randomly sometimes, usually at nighttime, and then in September we got this new platform, which was a proper platform. But then that third engineer also had his own ways. He wouldn't come in before 11. because he liked to play video games till late. So we should
Okay,
have had.
I get it.
Yeah, we had some interesting stories.
Cool.
But,
Let's talk
yeah.
about the early hires. How did you find the kind of the early team of people, and which functions did you cover, and where were the places where you were looking for these kind of colleagues?
Yeah, I think we were fortunate. So first thing about this, you're getting a founding team, you need to have complementary skill sets. So between both of us, and I think sales and marketing were really quite heavily skewed towards, and in a way it was good, I think, because we didn't have real product market fit. So we're really good at pre-selling the idea, and if it got some some momentum, we invest in it. And I would probably disagree with you in terms of hiring a technical lead right at the beginning when you don't have product market fit, because you can end up building something and over-engineer something, and now you're forced to maintain it, and that would have killed us, actually, I thought. But we were late in hiring a CTO. As soon as we knew that it was product market fit, we should have hired a real CTO. But in terms of the first hire, I remember we did the emails. The one thing we couldn't do between both of us was copywriting. So we hired our first copywriter because we were sending out all these emails. I couldn't write, and he couldn't write.
Okay.
And then we hired product marketing manager, and then the engineer. So that was the core team. Apart from, I guess, was there any other hires?
No, I think that was pretty much it. I think the thing for us was that, getting the right people, you use the job boards that startups advertise. We're quite fortunate because, even in the early days, our mission was very, very strong. It was about helping small businesses succeed and, kind of the David versus the Goliath story. So people really bought into that. So we were actually really, really lucky. We got some amazing talent on board when we had very, very little capital to pay. And actually those guys, drove through, us through the Perkbox curve. Some of them then built Perkbox in their night times and weekends. And actually they were still with us 5 years. We just sent 2 of those guys to Australia last week to launch Australia, which we're doing in 2 weeks.
Okay. So you, as a company who is kind of focused and has a big expertise on keeping employees happy, when did you hire your first HR manager or director?
I think we
The beer.
yeah, that was actually, yeah. So we were
When was that?
just over 50.
Okay.
We were just over 50. Maybe just over between 50.
And how big is the company now?
About 270.
270. Okay.
Our first HR hire wasn't really an HR. He was our recruiter. Because he
I
could
see.
help with hire, and he took on some HR functions. It was hilarious. He didn't know anything about it. But it's like, look, Samir, you know these people because you've recruited them. Why don't you help them along or help them, leave as well? So we had to make
So
it.
you were-
I think you have to be really tight. You have to be nimble, right? You can't just hire real proper functions. You don't want to overhire either.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, again, we were about, 60, 70 people, and we had only raised 350,000 pounds. So, the burn was something we were very conscious about. So where we could get the right people who could do multiple roles and fit in the culture.
Yeah.
So the cultural fit was supremely important for us always. So so Demir was a great recruiter, and he was amazing with people as well. So we felt he could do both
So
sides.
what are the key traits of somebody who is an amazing HR director or VP?
Well, the one thing about hiring people, so when we first started, we hired a lot of generalists because we didn't know what we needed to do, and we wanted people who were capable of just moving around.
Yeah.
As we grew, we hired specialists, best in class, A players, and HR was one of those types of people that we wanted to have on board. You just have to really, firstly, cultural fit, right? So we had to let people go because it wasn't the right cultural fit. And that's for us is sacred. On paper, a lot of people look great. And the hard bit is how do they interact with others, their management styles.
Yeah.
So as you move up in terms of director hires, that becomes harder and harder, the soft skills.
Okay.
I think one of the best, just to add to that, I think one of the most important things, again, for whether you're hiring as a generalist or a specialist, depending on the stage of the business, for someone to play that HR role is the trust they have with the team.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be very, very close to the team. They have to be the sounding board. They have to be great, great listeners. They cannot be closer to the management than they are to the actual people. That's in very simple terms, because they should have the trust of the people. Anyone as an HR person who does not have the trust of their people will be very challenged to do their job in this environment where the whole dynamics of workforce is changing.
Yeah, I agree. I see in our audience one of our friends who used to be an HR VP for a 70 billion fund from Canada, just moved to London recently. So I'm sure I hope you agree with it. Yeah. Now, there's a good question here from Youssef on Slido. Have you measured the actual impact of Perkbox on employee retention?
Yes, this is something we do.
Tell us more about that.
Sorry?
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so pretty actively, and actually, this is something we shout about, like to shout about. If you go to our, case studies, you have companies like Wasabi, rental cars, Purple Bricks talking about the impact it has had on the employee retention, and that's obviously, especially in certain sectors like hospitality and care, you can have staff turnover from anywhere from 40 to 70%. So in terms of the numbers we track, again, it depends on the company, it depends on the sector, depends on the average. We talk about a 30 to 15% reduction in staff turnover is what we see. In some cases, it's very easily measurable because we can hook into the HR system and we can actually measure how many people joined, how many people left, after Perkbox was launched. But then they need to have historical data. So some companies, especially the smaller end, don't necessarily have the historical data, or they have never tracked. A lot of companies in the smaller end, you ask them, what did you staff turnover? They won't even know. So I think, so where possible, we definitely do that. And the other aspect which is very valuable is around the kind of internal employee referral rate. So one of the things that we see is when Perkbox is live in a business and active, the number of internal employees who are referring their friends to join the business, it goes up pretty dramatically.
Okay, how do you use your tools to improve your own culture in the company? Do you do that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We would not be doing what we're doing and be successful. if we didn't do
I'm
that.
sure the company is busy scaling up and growing fast. Do you have time to just take a step back and decide, are we using the right perks? Are we learning from our own company?
Yeah. So actually, what's important, I guess, for the audience to understand is that while the name says Perkbox, we really are an employee experience platform, and what we do is we help. Our whole mission is about helping employees live better in life and at work. That's our mission, and Perks is one of our products. So we've got 4 products which focus on this whole employee experience around what we call financial, emotional, and physical well-being. So we have, for example, what is called, and we launched three of these products in the back half of last year, and that's why our tech team has grown quite a lot. So one of these products is it's an insights product. So basically, it's about getting people analytics in your business on how what is the employee sentiment, how do employees feel about working in a company. So it's pulse surveys go out every week. We give a dashboard to employers. So obviously, we very, very actively use that. Our employees are giving us feedback on a weekly basis on what's happening inside the company. What are the actionable feedback we can do to make their well-being in the company even better. We have a Perkbox medical product, which is basically live access to a doctor 24/7. We use that internally to improve physical well-being. We use our recognition product, which is about building that culture of recognition and appreciation inside a company. And obviously, we have our Perks product, which is giving a lot of perks to the company. So we have to use it, and that's absolutely critical. It helps us improve the product.
Okay. Yeah, true. You used to work for big companies, Microsoft, etc. Which of the areas do you see in the practice are not used properly in these companies? And from what you offer, how would you prioritize your products in terms of importance?
Sure. I think for big companies, the biggest hurdle is actually communication. And people don't, like when I was at Microsoft, or all of them at Yahoo, HR was silent and nothing really comes. The only time you hear about them is when you join or when you leave.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, right? So HR should be the closest to the people, and having that dialogue, having the culture of interactions with management, having that sort of that the security that you have is really important. As you get bigger, you lose a bit of that, and I think you just bond to the teams and departments you're in. You don't really relate to the larger corporation, and I think that's a shame. Right, so how do you build a culture of excellence, a culture of performance in large corporation? It takes really good leadership and management, and that requires good communication. And that I see is what we have in smaller businesses, because you know everybody, and then naturally you get to trust people, and that builds that bond. And it's sort of opposite on those bases really. and they're still the same people. You know, someone coming in from a large corporation can really say, hey, look, I like you guys because I can talk to you. That's the bottom line, really, for me.
So just to add to that, I think one of the things that is really, really critical is in terms of, you know, getting that communication going and getting that culture going, is that I think that there is a big lack of basic data inside a company. You know, if you have an online platform, you've got Google Analytics, Mixpanel, all these things. You've got, you know, a storefront. You've got your payment terminal, which will give you a lot of analytics. Inside companies, people, especially the bigger you become, people really don't know. A lot of the HR teams don't know what's going on inside their teams. They don't know what's the employee sentiment. They don't know what's happening specifically in teams, how that things are changing. They don't know if external events, how they're affecting it. So, so I think that whole kind of people analytics insights piece is something that we're most excited about, and our insights product, our analytics product, is something that is getting a huge amount of interest from companies, you know, small, medium, and large, because it gives them that, you know, sentiment, really rich data. And I think that's where the market is moving. It's not just us. Many companies are building that, and that's a pretty exciting area for.
When you talk about corporate culture and company culture, this is super important, and many companies need guidance, need advice on how to do that. But you're not a consultancy; you are a platform. So how do you battle the fight of trying to help your customers have a better culture and having to productize it in your offering?
Well, actually, we do a lot of content. I think that's really important to know. Yes, of course. We do webinars, Perkbox Live events. We have white papers. We partner with specialists. These things happen all the time. And for us, that's actually a really important part of our business. So we want to really focus on creating a solution that works and not just selling the products. I think it goes hand in hand. Educating the marketplace and how to use and how to deploy, how to engage with your staff is just as important as just having Perkbox. As a matter of fact, by just having Perkbox and not doing these other things would probably not make it a success. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very, very important part of the go-to-market strategy around, you know, the education piece. You know, the market's changing really, really fast, and content plays an amazing, important role in that. After we sign up a customer, when we launch that customer, that education again kicks in. So we actually suggest them, oh, typically if you're a restaurant chain, this is what other restaurant chains do. Let's look at Nando's, which is one of our customers. Hey, look, this is what Nando's found quite helpful.
Okay.
And so that educational piece is absolutely critical. You know, as a software as a service, if you're a software as a service business, that affects your long-term, you know, churn. It affects your, you know, NPS. So that's not separate to the product. It's part of the product. It's a wrap around the product that you can't take away.
Yeah. Talking about the churn retention, there's a question here on Slido. How have Perkbox benefits positively impacted Perkbox employee morale and retention?
What? Sorry.
How have Perkbox benefits positively impacted Perkbox employee morale and retention? So what you're offering to your employees, did it positively impact the performance or not?
Well, you should just come to our office and check it out, and you'll see for yourself.
Should we go now? Why don't you tell us?
I think obviously, you know, we have to live what we preach. So, you know, again, you can live it and come to our office. We'll not be in the business we are. You know, we're not selling a CRM software and saying, hey, here's all these things we've done to improve culture. You know, we're a company that's talking about changing workplace culture worldwide. So we have to live what we preach. And obviously, it has helped us in getting some great talent. We've been very fortunate again to get people who joined us instead of joining, you know, potentially other very exciting opportunities. And a big factor of that is the culture, the environment that we have built. You know, and benefits is a tool to build culture. People don't necessarily just join for the benefits. It's the culture you build around it. It's the signal you give to your employees that hey, we're here to take care of you, you know, and so that's what it does. And you know, it helps us get some phenomenal talent, which has been a critical part of our success. But, you know, the best ways to obviously.
Let's discuss the other way around. So there are some perks which many, you know, big wealthy companies are famous for offering free food, free drinks, you know, beer, ping pong tables. Which of these perks would you not advise companies to have? Which are useless? Which ones, in your opinion, your expertise?
I think the first thing is relevance. So every company is I don't expect every company to be a Perkbox company with, you know, the average age is 27 millennials having fun every Friday with free booze. That's not always the case. So what we've learned, we have what 8,000 companies across country, 500,000 employees, all sorts of businesses, from like warehouse workers, care homes, real estate agents, lawyers, tech companies. So what's relevant to your business is actually more important. In certain cultures, you can just stereotypically maybe like a finance accountant, you probably wouldn't have very loud. It's more of a security, very mature, very stable kind of environment. You have to do what's relevant. I think that's the key thing, right? So yes, we're a lot of us are brought from tech companies, and yeah, you normally gravitate towards that sort of typical ping pong tables and beer culture. But if it works for you, that's great. But the other thing about having these perks is having the trust with management that it's not just there for display, that it is okay to play ping pong, and that you're not slacking off because you are, right? So the two-way trust is really important, and it boils down to culture. Having the right culture that supports hard work and play hard, work hard, play harder. That's one of our values. And if you don't live your values, it becomes fake. As a matter of fact, I've been to a lot of companies with nice ping pong tables, and no one ever uses it because when they do, it looks like they're slacking off. It's actually quite bad.
Yeah. Last year,
Yeah, and I think, sorry, just to add to that, I think it's really, really important that, if someone's joining you because you do free lunch, free beer, and, ping pong tables, and and that's the only reason they're joining you, and you're a startup, then they're not the right guys for you, frankly. You got to have people who are passionate about your mission and your values. That's what makes people really join. And obviously, within your financial means that you live by as a startup, because you got to think about cash all the time. You can offer what you can, you can give back what you can, and what's aligned with your culture, what helps you build your culture. If free booze, is something that helps you drive that strong culture. For us, we started off using a beer trolley because everyone who knew who joined our company would, and this was actually our I think Damir's idea, our recruiter / HR person. So we had a free booze because, frankly, we were going to the pub on Friday, and when you have 50 people going to the pub all the time, it was actually becoming very expensive for a catch. You're like, hey, we still want to have drinks. We enjoy having drinks with everyone. Let's do it inside the office. And that's how we started Beer Trolley. And the whole idea with the Beer Trolley, someone's idea was that, okay, let every new person join, go around and give beer to everyone, so that's the way they can introduce themselves and meet everyone.
And you even save money for that.
Huh?
And you even save money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's a win-win. So I think it's really important you don't forget the financial aspect. If everybody tries to be Google, you got to think about what your gross margins are and what your
So
right?
just one thing on perks. I think that one of the best perks you can have is to hire great people, because great people want to work with other great people. I mean, it's really that important, because great people bring in great ideas. They motivate you. You go to work and you can learn from your staff, from your peers. Amazing. I think really that's an important part of what we have. So we have a great culture, but it's a culture of performance, right? We're here to really bring our best self and do great work and enjoy each other's company. Everything else, like ping pong table, it's just icing on the top.
Yeah,
right?
I agree. Well, let's discuss a little bit how you hire for your culture. Maybe you know the company Zappos. Zappos is a company which is an online store, was bought by Amazon for, I think, for $2 billion. And they're very famous for doing this one thing which nobody else does. And what they do is they hire people, and people fly in, they're based in Vegas, and on the bus, they have a bus picking people up, and they even ask the bus driver if those people who were on the bus were nice to them. Because if they were not nice, they don't want to work with people who are mean to people they don't think are important. But the key thing they did is Zappos, after you come for an interview, and they interview you and they like you, they make you an offer. And when you accept the offer, Zappos will then offer you $5,000 if you don't accept the offer, if you don't come. Because they were very, very careful with, they had a bunch of people who were coming just because the salary was good. And this is the thing which they didn't want to have, because they wanted people who believe in the Zappos values. And they figured out that only about 2% of people accepted those $5,000 and not come to work for Zappos. But this was actually way, way cheaper not to have them on board, because for 5 months it's not worth all the training and so on. So my question is, how do you hire for your culture? What is your culture right now at Bigbox, and how do you hire the people for that? How do you screen that?
Well, that's a really good question. How do you screen them? We have values. So we have a culture, a mission, to help employees live better at home and at work. This is what we talk about. We're a mission-led business. So we believe that it's more than just making money, that we are here to actually change society. And I talk a lot about that. And it's important to repeat it if you believe it, right? And so that's what we talk. And then we have 6 values. Zero fear, it's our job as a family, and so on and so forth. We talk about it, create our own kind of words and our language. It becomes natural. In a way, if you have a really good, distinct, clear culture, it weans itself out. Meaning the people who are not compliant to that culture, they won't feel comfortable, right? A culture of high performance and a mission-led culture. It's like hanging out with groups of people. You quickly find out this is not your group, right? I think that's. But in terms of letting people go, there's also that as well. Where people, when you see that they're not compliant in terms of the culture and they're actually damaging the culture, even though they're high performers, we have to make that call. And we've done that before, where we just had to let people go.
What are the signs of
that.
people which you wanna have let go because they don't fit into the company?
So what are the signs of people who?
What kind of people have you let go? What are the traits you don't like about your employees? When
Yeah.
they
So
don't fit the
ideally,
culture?
ideally, as we would like to wean them off, just at the hiring process. So we don't do, like, to your earlier question, we don't do like crazy, quirky things. We do things very simple, which is when we ask questions during the interview process, they're really aligned with our values. So if you ask the right questions, you'll get the right feedback. As a company, we're very humble. We've got a bunch of really high performing but really humble people. So one of the things that I ask always is like, hey, what's your biggest success, but what's your biggest failure? And I want to learn more about the failure than the success, right? And if someone's not ready to talk about their failure, then they will not get in, guaranteed.
Okay.
Right?
What is your biggest
And-
failure in the company?
Well, so we'll talk about that later. I know you have that question.
I don't want to take that.
We have some learnings. There's no, so obviously so I think so we try to ask the right questions that tie into our values. In terms of, the people who don't fit in, I think that's pretty, when you really obsess about your culture and you got people who obsess about your culture, very quickly. Because if you don't know where we're sitting, your team knows. And if you have an open culture, it bubbles up very quickly.
Yeah.
I don't need to, obviously, we have software that does that, but we have a very open environment where I don't need to know a certain team has a certain problem and it sits there for a week, a month. I will know within days, because when I'm having a conversation with someone will actually tell me or tell Chu proactively, hey, this is something that you should know. They may be unrelated to that team because, our culture is such that everybody owns it. So I think you will know it. If you have the right culture and people are passionate about your culture, whether directly from the team or indirectly from someone else, if there's something wrong going on in the business. Again, if you're very open, and it's an open environment, and you really have zero fear, where people do feel that they have no fear, they can come and talk to you.
I see. A question to both of you. What was your biggest deep point, or what is the biggest obstacle you had to overcome, and how did you overcome it?
Early days, there's always challenges.
In
But I
the
think
history of the
for me, before we got product market fit, I think we were selling leads, not knowing where their next business idea would come from. That was pretty hard. I think at one point we only had a few months worth of money in the bank, and we were burning through cash. And that was like a year or so into our life, and there was only 5 or 6 of us, so we were very fragile as a business. And I felt that was a low point, but we managed somehow to get past that.
Sorry?
Yeah, I would echo that. I think that was probably our kind of lowest point, because we were at one point, burning cash, 3 months of cash left, no idea where this is going. And we actually, we had some really good friends as investors. We've got a couple of LBS professors as investors, some classmates of mine, and I was like, oh, I want to lose the business, but I don't want to lose my friends either. So, I was like, oh, should we just give back the money? And that was the point. And then, we were fortunate, some things, there were some bright spots which we invested in, they worked out, but it was a pretty low
How
point.
did you work it out? Did you just sit down and have discussions with yourselves, or did you sit down with your investors and brainstormed?
Yeah, there was both, right? So obviously you sit down and together all the time, and obviously with the team as well, right? Because you got to be very open with the team. Like, guys, this is what's working, this is not working, because the numbers are very clear for them to see. You can't hide anything, you know, in
Yeah.
your size, our size. And then obviously with key investors, not every investor. We had lots of angel investors, you know, and not every angel investor contributes the equivalent amount of value. So you talk to and listen to people who actually contribute a lot of value, and then you listen to, but not necessarily do everything that everybody tells you. You know, so we did talk to our investors who didn't necessarily put the most amount of money, but delivered the most value.
And you
And
came
the
out
other
of it very strong. Now, let's take some questions from the audience from Slido. Let's do it very quickly because we have like 5 to 7 minutes left. So
Sure.
quick question, quick answer. How did you convince retail partners to come on board and offer deals when you did not have the scale? What have you done?
So when we didn't have the scale to get the partners on board, in the early days was really leveraging relationships and networks and kind of selling the dream.
So the first deal was in Microsoft, or how
So
did
we
you
have,
work?
you know, we were fortunate we have Apple
Okay.
as one of our first partners. So the thing is that you want to shoot as, if you have the right relationship and network, and you really can sell the dream, you got to aim as high as possible, because after that it becomes easy. Hey, look, Apple's on board.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Good answer. Question from Raj. What were the most crucial factors, apart from skill fit, you had to consider when making your first bunch of hires? The first crucial factors you were looking for when you hired
It
anyone?
has to be complementary. It's actually people who are actually, well, first hires, they are generalists.
Yeah.
So get functions like marketing, get someone who can do a lot of marketing, someone who can do product management, cover a bit of engineering, sales and biz dev. So cover the areas that are really important for you, and make sure that these people can pivot around.
Okay.
really hungry,
It goes without saying, really.
goes without saying, to achieve something in life. That
Okay.
in the early days, yeah.
A question from a student. I'm an LBS student and I am sold on Perkbox. Wow, well done. How can I work with you as an intern? Do you hire interns?
Yeah, we do actually. Last year we had 2 from LBS, did an amazing job. The year before we had 1, so we're always hiring interns from.
Okay,
LBS
where are you?
summer.
Drop us a line.
Just drop us a line.
Raise
Yeah.
your hand. Okay.
There you go. Okay.
Good.
You can talk to
We-
both Saraf and you. Nice. Next question is: are you thinking about selling the company? Why or why not?
So for us, you know,
And how much?
That's a good one. Yeah.
How many zeros can you add? No, so for us, you know, obviously we've gone through a lot of pivots in pain to get where we are. We're actually incredibly lucky that in the employee experience world, there's no global brand. So we're now in 3 markets. You know, we're aiming to get to another 5, you know, by next year and really become the global brand. So for us, it's not really about selling. You know, internal mission is to help, you know, 100 million employees by 2025, you know, live better. That's about total workforce, employed workforce is 1.4 billion people worldwide, 1 billion self-employed. So if you look at the employed workforce, we're aiming to get about 7% of the employed workforce
Globally.
by 2025 globally. And we're very lucky there is no global brand. And so
You have to hurry up.
Yeah, well, we're trying our best.
In which
and-
markets are you present right now?
We are in France,
Okay.
UK, and Australia should be live in like. a
And do you
week or
aim to
so.
raise a big round for expansion, or you just
Yeah,
want to do
we
it?
cannot talk about our fundraising activities.
I take it as a maybe then.
Maybe.
Okay. Sounds very good. Now, what does the future hold for the Perkbox product aside from more perks?
I think we've spoken about a few of them. I think the important thing is that we want to own the employee experience and holistically. I think looking at employees holistically, all their needs that we have. We've launched, like I said, we have Perkbox Insights, Perkbox Medical, reward recognition, and I think for now, and Perks obviously, and there's also partnerships that we plan to work with that can plug in. Ultimately, we want to create APIs so we can help serve the ecosystem. So I think this is a problem that needs to be fixed with a comprehensive solution. And what that is will evolve, and we'll find what is best for the market and adapt.
So if you think about it, 95% of the businesses, or you know, which is the SME mid-market, would dominate the landscape. Once you join a company and you're onboarded on your HR and your payroll system, you've got no platform that actually takes care of you end to end, your whole well-being, your sentiment. So that's what we're trying to solve as
Yeah.
a problem. We started with Perks, which is, now we got 4 products which deliver the all, holistic employee experience. But we want to really be the employee life cycle solution that delivers the best employee experience. And a certain segment, SME mid-market is where our focus is, and that's where there's completely, open space for us.
What you're doing seems to be quite in line with LinkedIn, and you have one of the LinkedIn insiders as your investor. Is there any easy path of having Perkbox integrated, like Linda integrated into the educational platform, or you don't think?
So yeah,
this one does?
L&D is an area that we are going to develop next year. Another area is around performance management, manager-employee relationship, because our Insights product is great for a company-employee relationship, but the
Yeah.
one-to-one daily relationship you have with your manager is one area, and learning is another very, very interesting area. I think LinkedIn is a different category altogether. LinkedIn's, the system of record around LinkedIn is, your resume and your CV. And if you look at their revenue streams, it's really, recruitment, sales and marketing.
Sure.
So they don't have those company relationships. It's not, you look at company pages on LinkedIn, they're not the busiest place, right? LinkedIn is busy as a feed. So we don't really see LinkedIn as a competition at all. LinkedIn has an individual relationship. Our relationship is with the employer.
No, I agree. LinkedIn is a complementary thing
yes.
to what you're doing, and that's why I'm saying LinkedIn could be an easy exit for you, or you can complement what they're offering.
We don't think in terms of exits.
Okay, not yet.
Take your
yeah.
point though, yeah, fine.
The road Lord. Okay, one more question. I think Chewy, this is for you because as a CMO, how hard was it to get the network effect going? How did you convince the big brands to post discounts on your platform? They didn't have a lot of subscribers yet.
Sure. Yeah, well, basically what Swerve said, the network, the relationship that we have to build is essentially once you have a big brand, it becomes easier. But I think what's really important is that when we created Perkbox, we really looked at our positioning and we made sure that it resonated with our audience. I think that moment where we stopped and really kind of paid attention to what we're trying to do was really important, because we were running really fast, changing how to buy gold, how to buy perks. We were just going for it. But having that time to really think about what you're truly trying to do and positioning yourself was actually really, really important. And then from there, it became more disciplined. You want to create a brand, you need to nurture it. You need to really understand where you are in terms of the brand positioning and where you're not. And then you repeat, and then it became really clear this is what Perkbox stands for, and this is what it does. And that's really the basics of great branding, is repetition. And that's why people know who we are, because we're very consistent.
Okay, that's a good answer. Now, last question is, what is your number one tip for B2B social today? Do you think its value depends on target business size?
So what's the minimum B2B social?
Yes.
Interesting. Well, I think we use from paid social in terms of acquisition. It's actually really powerful for us. Like, I'll consider that LinkedIn and Facebook. LinkedIn is really, really good because it allows you to target business sizes and sectors and what have you. Facebook historically has been really good because, and that's how we kind of grew. But now it's as less sort of efficient than LinkedIn, because we're trying to target the larger corporations, because the unit economics are much, much better. They'll stay longer, the churn is lower, and that's where we're heading. So yeah, definitely, social is really a big part of who we are. And the other thing about social is that they help represent your brand. The whole virality, the shareability of Perkbox is really what got us off the ground as well. And that's why we leverage paid social so much, because people were actually tagging their boss, for example. One of the most powerful campaigns was, can I have this? The nagging effect. Whereas it's like, I like Perkbox because my friend has it, can I get it? And by allowing people to just forward a post or share that with their boss really helped us, because we're not paying for those clicks or those shares. So yeah.
Okay, Saurabh, before we finish, I want to ask you, what is your biggest challenge right now at the company?
Our biggest challenge is obviously, we shared with you our mission of helping 100 million employees by 2025 or better. So obviously that means global growth. So global is where most of my time is spent on how do we scale internationally, and that presents its own challenges. The market dynamics are different. The go-to-market strategy is different in international markets. It's not a B2C product where you can just launch. So you have to really understand the go-to-market strategy in different markets. You have to understand the regulations. Some markets are very tax advantaged. Some markets are regulated. So the international side is our biggest challenge. And obviously, the most important thing is as we scale and grow in these international markets, how do we preserve our culture, how do we create, right now we've got 4 offices, 2 in the UK, 1 obviously in Australia, and one in France. How do we scale and make sure that the culture is really, really tight and we feel as close a company as we are as we double the size of the business to over 500 people. So it's the international growth and the complexity it presents is a challenge that we are managing and negotiating and learning from pretty much every day.
We'll follow the journey of Pearbox closely. And on this note, please join me in thanking Saurabh Chopra and Chu Chow of Pearbox. Now, before we finish, we have few remarks to share with you. We're not done yet. Now it's time to network and meet some people. Because at these networking events, lots of people are making mistake that they just, the talk finishes and they go away. And the chance that I can help you or Saurabh or Chu can help you is maybe 3 or 4%. The chance that somebody else in this audience can help you is 100%. I can promise you that. So we're gonna go next door. It's gonna be on those 2 floors, which are by the entrance. So basically you go 1.5 stories down and there's a bar. We can have a drink, we can meet some people. And there are some super interesting people in this audience. We know a bunch of them. If you need any help, we are here to help you. We have some team members who can help. Please raise your hand. We have Ernesta at the back. We have Tim. We have Andre. We have Lorelei at the back as well. We have Peter here. Come to us if you're looking for a technical co-founder or a designer or whatever it is you're looking for. You can come and speak to us. And we also want to tell you about 2 more things. Peter?
Can you hear me? Try this one. This one might work. Okay, works. So first of all, thank you all for coming. It's really a pleasant surprise to see all of you here today. I want to thank, big thanks to our partners, our very new partner, London Business School, for providing the space and supporting us. Also some of the very long partners that have been supporting us for many years. Lois Silking, can you please raise your hands? So these are very good people. They know everything about law and legal things you might need for the company. And we're going to be doing some sort of drop-in surgeries or clinics. So you're free to talk to them. They will help you. So please go ahead. We also have people from Soldo here. Yes. So you should also speak to them if you want to scale your business or if you're in that position.
If you want to know how to save money and manage your expenses better, Soldo is perfect for that.
Agree, yes.
And then we want to tell you about One Accelerator as well.
Of course. So we are all about supporting the young entrepreneurs and then an early stage startup. So our latest edition of partners are, they're called Hackletree, and they have few offices here in London. And soon they will be launching their second alpha accelerator program. So it's no equity taken, it's completely free, you can apply, and we'll be sending you some more details on email and follow up. And I think it's a wonderful, some of our startups that I advised, they went through the last cohort, and it was really beautiful support they give for free. So if you want to learn stuff, please check Hackletree. They have a Shoreditch office, a West office. So I guess that would be it. Just a few notes on networking. Please meet at least 10 people. Don't spend too much talking to only one person. Allow them to meet other people. So, of course, yeah, drink if that helps. And then, yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Good.